Gamers want new games to fail. So Nadeshot brought up an interesting topic that he thinks gamers actually want new games to fail. I thought it was a really interesting take, so I wanted to give my opinions on it.
Something weird that has happened in the gaming community. For some reason, everybody in the gaming community wants games to fail. It's very bizarre.
So let's have a conversation. The statement is, gamers want new games to fail. In my opinion, this is both true and false at the same time. I think it's a mixture of both, and there's a lot of aspects to it that actually make this statement kind of factual and also kind of not factual. Do I think gamers just inherently want all new games to fail? No, but I do feel like there's several parts that make up the feedback we see about new games over the last few years. So over the last few years, a lot of games have been coming out and getting review bombed, and some of them aren't even making it past their first few months released, and they're not making it anywhere out of early access. Is this all just because gamers are hateful right now and want new games to fail? I don't think so. Let's talk about why I think gamers are kind of influencing games to fail. In my opinion, a lot of gamers are actually stuck on nostalgia. You'll hear a lot of people argue with you that games from like 2002 are better than any game that's come out right now. While some of it is true, a lot of those games just aren't, and you're just stuck on nostalgia. And I do the same thing. Like I can say, oh, the Spawn game is the best game I ever played. It was great when I was like a 12-year-old. If I played it now, I would still say it's great because of nostalgia, but really matched up to the things we get now, it's nowhere near as close. A lot of those older games do have better storylines, but apart from that, is the game itself in its total better? Not really. And because of that, a lot of people won't try new games because if a new game comes out in their genre, just because they don't want to ruin that perfect image and that ladder of hierarchy that they put their favorite game on, they won't try a new game so they can never say, oh my goodness, that game is actually better than I thought, or it's better than my favorite game. They don't want to ever do that or have to get to that point where they have to admit that. So just because of that, they just won't play new games altogether. I cover Ark a lot on this channel, so when I see new games coming up, I honestly get worried. I'm like, okay, this new game is an open world survival. It's got kind of similar things to Ark. Is it going to take away viewers and players from Ark, and is it going to actually tank Ark? I have to think about that. As the person I am, I never ever said, okay, I'm only going to play Ark and we're going to just make everybody play Ark. I'm always open to trying new things and trying new games. So these things do run through all of our minds as gamers in the first place. And it leads to some gamers just lashing out because they don't know what else to do and bashing a game before they even play it or before it comes out.
People complain about not having enough games to play, but when new games come out, even before they have played it, they're like, that game sucks, I'm not going to play it.
And honestly, the fear of liking something more than a game or a game series you sunk like 10,000 hours into is scary. Imagine you spend the last 5 years sinking hours and hours into a new game. Then something else comes out and then you play it and end up liking it more. Are you going to be willing to start sinking those hours back into a new game when you've already sunk in so many hours and so much money into a different release? You're going to just say everything else is dog and I want to only play this game and this game is the best game ever. Anything else that comes out is just not it. And the thing is, I even see it with creators who don't want to try new games just for the loyalty they say. But then again, even if the franchise is dying, they still stick to it. And this gives studios like false hope to say, okay, let's continue dropping the same game over and over again with a different name after the title. And we start seeing things like the Halo series. We start seeing things like now we have Ark Evolved, we have Ark Ascended, and we're getting Ark 2. Did we need all 3 titles? Not really, but we're going to keep getting them if people keep letting these studios think just because there's some hype left on the first initial game and people don't want to just leave, that they can keep putting out the same garbage over and over again and we're just going to consume it. And the thing is, no matter how much you like a game or a genre, it doesn't mean you shouldn't try new games because you never know what you like going forward because everything changes. Your opinions will change over time and the things you like will change over time. But if you stick to one thing and you don't try anything else out, how would you know if you're going to like it or not? How would you know how that genre has progressed and become better over time? And a lot of us who are playing games right now, we started playing games when we were kids. We're now in our 20s and our 30s and some of y'all are in your 40s. It's like you started off playing games before the internet was a big thing. So you're probably going to like these single player games. You're probably going to like these smaller titles. You might like some of these other releases.
I mean, I try to put myself in the shoes of myself when I was like 16 years old, but I can't. I was excited for new games when they came out. Back in the day, bro, in 2007, when Halo 3, Gears of War 1, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare dropped the same year, bro, we were lined up outside of GameStops, whether it was in a mall or attached to a Hollywood video. sitting there waiting for these new games for the midnight release. Everybody was so excited about it. Now when new games come out, we're fucking sitting around a goddamn satanic ritual for the game to fail miserably.
I honestly blame two things for this. Number one, I blame the current game market. It has bred a fast food gamer set where everyone is itching for the next game. So with so many titles being released, like think about how many games have come out in your preferred genre in the last year. There are so many. In my preferred genre is the open world survival genre. There has been so many games in 1 year. No one has time to actually sit and play every game. There's so much fear of missing out, and the FOMO is killing these games. So we need to slow things down, because at the end of the day, a lot of these games are being released before they are finished, which makes any little thing that's wrong become a big thing. So if you're playing a game and let's just say Ark Extended released and there's like things that are wrong, you might be okay with it. Then the next week, Power World releases and Power World is perfect and it's optimized exactly the way we should have it. Now you're gonna say Ark is dog, let's not play that game anymore, let's play Power World. Then another game comes out and you're like, Power World kind of looks slow and janky, let me play that game instead. And because there's so many games coming out and the fear of missing out when you're seeing all these creators stream every day, stream all these games, you're seeing all these viral clips on the internet, you just want to get involved and play that game. And that's what's killing the market. Too many games are coming out, too many unfinished games, and because of the time frame, a lot of players don't have time to actually play the game all the way through. And secondly, I honestly blame creators, and myself being one, I do blame us, particularly streaming culture. Because if you think about it, this is the most gamers we've ever had. Ever. And a lot of people are just doing things like they will stream a whole game from start to finish on release day. And I'm a hypocrite in saying that because I do that sometimes. But why would you spend $50 to buy a game if your favorite creator, or there's hundreds of creators out there playing it from start to finish, and you can watch it to see if you'll like it, and then you end up watching 10 hours, 20 hours of gameplay, which brings you very close to the end game. And now it's like, do I really want to spend $50 on this game that I kind of just watched? And this game actually only has one storyline, and I kind of know the storyline right now. Do I need to buy this game? Back in the day, you'd be playing games, your brother would be sitting behind you, and you take turns. But when it comes to streaming culture, if you can't afford to buy the game on release day, release week, you're going to watch someone play it. But if they've played the game all the way to the end, a lot of people aren't going to be bothered to buy the full game and play the game and experience it themselves, especially when they're talking to these streamers and to other people in the community of the chat all in the same time. It's a live streaming, like you're playing the game with your brother or your family or your friend, which means you don't need to spend your $50 to buy the game. And that's going to crash the market, because less people are buying games because they're depending on streamers and influencers to play the game, show them the game, and then the game dies. That's where I think live action and live service games are winning, because there's always new content and there's always new things that people can do. So no matter how long you stream it for, it's always going to be a different experience based on the player who's playing. And reviews are a big thing that are actually kind of warping the market as well. When I review a game, I try to give the good and the bad on the game, and I always urge people to try it for themselves, because I have very niche preferences when it comes to a game, but a lot of reviewers will literally just tell you, this is garbage, don't play it, stay away from it. We saw this with like Once Human, where everyone misunderstood something and they absolutely bashed the game, and the game got crazy bad reviews, but no one came back around to say, oh guys, we made a mistake. They just made their videos, put it out, just said, the game is trash, the game is terrible, security threat, don't play this game. And that gave the game bad reviews. So a lot of people are going with a sheep mindset when their favorite streamer or their favorite reviewer just tells them, this is dog, don't play it. And a lot of reviewers don't care if they're telling you to not play a game, because if a game didn't pay them or they weren't given exclusive access, they suddenly have a bad bone against the game. It should be a thing is, if you're reviewing a video, even if you're paid for it, you have to try to be as honest and forthcoming as you can with your audience, which is something I try to do here on this channel, because I will tell you, this is the bad I saw, this is the good I saw. Go figure it out for yourself. Play the game. Do I think it's worth your money or your time? Yes. this is the amount of time I think you should spend on it before you make your final decision. A lot of other people don't do that. They just say, this is dog, don't play this. Or, ooh, this game is the best. And when they say this game is the best because they were paid to say so, you go and play the game and people have bad experiences because, hey, I played this game because my favorite streamer or my favorite reviewer said it's a good game, and then you play the game and like, this game is actually very bad. They just hyped it up for no reason. Editing does a lot of tricks and wonders to videos. You could have the most boring content, but if you have a good editing team or you're a good editor yourself, you can make this game look like it's a magical thing, and they won't tell you that until you spent your money on this game. And in the current world we live in, with the economy and everything, not everyone has like $50 to keep spending on a game every month. So when there's 20 games coming out, you have to choose. And having to choose between 5 to 6 games, all other games are going to suffer, especially if there's one that stands out and the majority of the audience goes for that game. Every other game is going to start failing. And again, in saying that, I'm a hypocrite because, as I said, I will play a game on stream for a couple of hours when it releases. I like to come on stream and play and show you guys because there's a sense of not everyone can afford this game, so I don't want them to miss out. And again, it's the fear of missing out. I bring that and say, I don't want anyone to miss out on the gameplay and not see what's going on here. But again, that is also partially taking away from people who are going to potentially buy the game in the future. But overall, players need to sink time into games to figure out if they like them or not. But in the modern world we live in, it's kind of hard. We have less time. So time is more and more valuable to us, and so is money. And most AAA releases are too expensive. And the thing about games is, at this time and in this era of gaming, you never finish paying for a game. It doesn't matter if it's a single player game or a live service game, we never finish paying for games. Back in the day, I would literally buy Halo or Gears of War or the new Spider-Man game here or there or anything I buy and I'm done. I've paid one purchase for it. The game is done. It's finished. It's 100% finished product. I bought it and now I can play it and I have everything that everyone else has. But nowadays, it's like you buy Resident Evil. It's a story mode game, but you have to buy skin packs, texture packs, and all these other DLCs. And it's like, what the hell? Even with games like Batman, one of my favorite series, there's so many packs you can buy. Why can't I just pay my $50 and get the full finished game instead of you giving me an 80% half-baked game and you continuously add things on? I think this annoys people, and people don't want to always spend their money on new games because I'm gonna have to start this from scratch again when I've already spent $200 on this game. I can't do that to myself, especially if I end up liking this game. Just ask the question, when you have 30,000 hours on your favorite game, how do you put that to the side to start again on a different game? How do you? That's so many hours you've already burnt. How are you gonna just say, you know what, I'm gonna stop playing this game forever and play this new game? We can't do that. And then on the flip side, when you hop from game to game, how do you stop to really enjoy a game when it's like, oh no, the new game just came out, I need to hop to that one. Oh, a new game just came out, I need to hop to that one. You never have time to stop and play the game fully and enjoy it. Gaming companies are trying too hard to pander to every single walk of life, and it's like, it's not going to work. People in their 30s aren't gonna like games that I like. I'm in my 20s. They're not gonna like games I like. The games that they were used to were different from what I like. The 10-year-olds, the games that they like are different to the games I like. So it's like, you can't try to make a game that suits all, and you're gonna lose money because the older people are gonna hate it and the younger people are gonna hate all the elements that the older people are gonna like. So you're gonna be having a very disgruntled audience across the board. But games are starting to try to pander to everyone in the same game. It's not going to work. You have to choose an actual target age market and go for that market, and you're not trying to go for everyone in every walk of life. If you try to please everyone, you're going to end up pleasing no one. And we're seeing this over and over again where game companies are making woke games, or they're making games that just don't suit the audience that they've built over decades. You can't have an audience you've built over decades that like gruesome fighting and then now you're taking away all the blood and all the gore. It's not PC or it's too dark for kids to see. That's what they were in the game for. No one wants to play that game. But we're seeing a lot more companies do things like that. And I feel like, again, it's steering players away from new games. We don't trust you enough. We haven't built a connection with you. So why would we just give you our money or give you our time when you're already doing things that we don't like? every game is unfinished, every game is unready, everything is released too early. There's like, you play the game, as soon as you turn it on, bad experience, you're crashing, there's bugs, and there's just things that just aren't finished and aren't right. And the worst part about it is it always feels like you're being forced to fork out more and more money. The game comes out for big bucks, you buy it for big bucks. Then you realize that your system or your console can't run it, so now you have to go upgrade your system or upgrade your console just to play games now. Like, think about it. Back in the day, you could download 20, 30 games on a 1 terabyte hard drive. Now you can fit maybe 4 if you are lucky. I have 6 terabytes right now on my system. I don't have more than 15 games. Like, that is crazy. Like, for example, I can use Arc. It takes 140 gigabytes. And if you download all the DLCs you want, you're looking at 200 plus gigs for one game. Call of Duty, 120 gigs. Conan Exiles, and 150 gigs. Games are so big, and when you go to the console store to buy a new console, they're selling you 500 gigs, 1 terabyte. And if you want to get 2 terabytes or something, you have to either do it yourself, or you have to fork out an extra $5.99 to get this console just to play these games, or just to have all these games on your system. And again, not everyone has super fast broadband. So if you have to choose between what game you have on your console, you're going to say, I am not trying this new game because I am not spending 6 hours to download it every time I want to play it. And then when I get bored, I have to spend another 6 hours to download my old favorite game. And I have to keep deleting and downloading. Poor optimization with the game files and the size of the games, because they don't want to do the hard work to make the game more accessible for more people. So now, is that realistic that players have to literally delete and download games every time they want to play a game, and then you expect them to come buy your new game, play your new game, when they don't have the space to actually install your new game? And it's a very normal thing now for most AAA games that are coming out. They're just too big. Make the game smaller, and then we might actually play your new game. So I don't want to have a NASA computer to run a game. It isn't realistic. And to be honest, all the games you guys are releasing kind of feel the same. Same story, same gameplay, same skins. Everyone buys the same packs nowadays, the same rigs, the same textures, and they say, here's a new game, but it works the same as the game you just bought last week. Make the games different. Make the textures different. Give us a little bit more. We can't just keep having the same game over and over again. You just can't keep making the same title over and over again. We can even argue that GTA, when they make a new Rockstar game, it's basically the same thing. They just slap a few things around and they give you the same game again. Every game coming out is just the same. All the shooters working the same, looking the same, playing the same. All the open world survivals looking the same, working the same, playing the same. We need variety. We need differences in these games. And I feel like we're lacking that. And because all these games are coming out so fast to beat one another, they're just doing the same thing over and over again. And yeah, big corporations repackaging old games under new titles, using old assets to try and fool us. We're the same group of people. You can't fool us more than once. We know what you're doing. If I played your earlier release 6 years ago and your new release is under a new name and it's a copy and paste of the old release, I don't want it. Keep it. But again, as I said, players are to blame as well, because people complain if devs step out of the mold to create something new. Like, they create something new, everyone gets mad. So it's like both sides are on a stalemate. You can't win either way. But how do we move forward from here? How do you think we move forward from here to a point where the new games have adequate time for the creators to finish them before releasing, before we start saying we're bored, we haven't seen this game yet, you told us we're going to get it 2 years ago, why is it not out yet? Then when it releases unfinished, we get mad. How do we get to the point where we can actually give them time to give us a fully finished game? Do you think there is a problem with people wanting new games to fail or not supporting them as we should? Is it because the games are just bad games, or are we the problem? And do we just not want games to succeed? Are too many games being released in the market? Do you think that too many games are coming out every year under the same genre and we need to slow it down so people can actually enjoy and play true games? We do not have 1 million hours a year. We only have a certain amount of hours, especially with work and lifestyles. We can't just play 30, 40 games that are never ending all the time. And yeah, let me know your comments. Let me know your comments, because I think it was a very enlightening topic and I felt like I just talk about it and let you guys know my opinions on it. And I feel like, yeah, there's a bit of both on both sides. It is partially our fault, but it's also partially the developer's fault, and it's just the way the gaming industry is right now. We're no longer players. We are just cash cows that they can milk, and that's why we're seeing so many more live service games, because they just want to keep cashing out on us, and because they're cashing out on us, we are stuck on the mindset of we just spend so much money, we can't go to new games, so every new game is trash, and we just bash them for no reason. But yeah, don't forget, guys, if you like my opinions, you like these little videos I bring out, make sure to like, subscribe, let me know your opinions below on this topic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.